Well, the football season continues for the Robert E. Lee Red Raiders and the John Tyler Lions. And JT is off to a 1-1 start after a thrilling game on Saturday night at Trinity Mother Frances Rose Stadium as they knocked off Lancaster 31-28 on the final play of the game. In fact, an unusual stat on that game, the last play of the first half was a long field goal, and basically the next to last play of the football game was a short field goal that won the game. But the Lions did come away with a victory, and those two teams will square off this week. JT against Robert E. Lee, renewal of a rivalry that began when Robert E. Lee opened back in 1958. Coach Ricklan, Holmes of the Lions is with us, and again, how did it feel to get that victory?
Oh, anytime you get to go out and compete and win a football game, it's always good for your program.
Yeah, and you got it. I mean, that was a hard-fought. Lancaster's good, but you overcame a lot of mistakes. I mean, just talk about the way the game went down on Saturday.
You know, very talented team that we went against Saturday. We knew that they was going to bring everything to Tyler, Texas to win that football game, and they did. They played us tough. They played us hard. They done everything that they needed to do to try to win that football game, but as every football game goes, you know, somebody's going to make more plays than the other. And the one that makes the most plays is the one that's going to win the game. And we ended up making more plays than they did. And it put us in a position to be 1-1 on the season, going into this third game of the season against Robert E. Lee, very talented team. They're 2-0. So at the end of the day, I plan on us both having the same record.
That's right. That's the plan. Well, Cujo overcame a lot Saturday night, and just, you know, that and part of that has to be the mindset of some of your senior players, because there was a lot, you know, like we said, there were mistakes that were made, but in the end, mentally tough enough to get it done against a good football team. What does it tell you about this group?
That tells me a lot about my team. It tells us a lot about ourselves. Let us know that we got a lot of character. We got a lot of heart on this team, and being able to overcome the adversity that we were able to overcome Saturday, that put a lot of I guess a lot of heartfelt concern that we did have. It puts it at ease a little bit, because we know that we can play. That's no question about that. But can we play when we're behind? You know, that was a big question coming into this season, because we felt like a lot of these kids were so athletic. They used to being in front. They used to being front runners. Well, now you get to see a test like we did Saturday and last Friday. You know, we stayed fighting in the game. We never gave up, and that's 2 weeks in a row that my kids have been able to do that. 1 week it came short. This week they overcame and they won a football game.
Yeah, and it's a whole lot easier to teach those lessons after a win. I mean, 0-2, while you could make a case that you did a lot of good things, but to win the game like that, I mean, that sure makes this week easier, doesn't it?
Because winning shows progress,
right.
You know, and anytime you're able to win a football game after you lose one, that lets you know that, hey, we did something better this week than we did last week. And against another great team like Lancaster was, just like Lufkin was, you got to go out there, you got to play the football game, and you got to let the clock play out itself.
And Gio McAllister, your junior quarterback, how did he do week 2 as compared to week 1?
Week two, he got a lot better. You know, he became a little bit more patient in the pocket, understanding that he can depend on his linemen to do their job, and he was able to make a little bit more plays than he did last week, help our offense move the ball, help us put some more points on the board, and at the end of the game, win it.
Rick, I know people will ask you, and so I got to as well, talk about the punt snaps. I mean, that was an issue all night long.
Yeah. Well, you know, last week we had a problem with the offensive snapper. Well, we fixed that problem going into week 2. Now we got a problem with our deep snapper for special teams, and that's just another concern that we have to address this week, getting ready to go into this third game. And we'll fix it just like we fixed everything that went wrong the first week. We fixed it the second week. Now we're going into the third week. We got something to fix. That's what coaching in football is all about. You got to find out what you're good at, get better at it. Find out the things that you're bad at, and fix it.
I'll say one thing. There were 2 of those in the first half. The defense, the bad snaps gave Lancaster the ball at the 10 and the 5-yard line, and both times they came away with 0 points.
That just shows the toughness of that defense, man.
Yeah.
Coach Anderson has put a great defensive plan together for the first 2 weeks. And so far, our kids have actually been carrying out that scheme the way it's been coached to do.
Yeah.
And anytime you have athletes that are disciplined, doing their job, doing what they're coached to do, good things are going to happen. And it builds confidence in them. It lets them know that, hey, even though things may go bad during the course of the game, offense may not put points on the board at that particular time. Something may happen in special team. We may have our backs against the wall. We must do what we've been coached to do. we must play football, and we got to be grindy.
Yeah, and so you grind your way to a win, and now it's we'll talk more about Lee in a moment, but just overall thoughts. Robert E. Lee's off to a 2-0 start. What impresses you about him?
Quarterback, first of all. That young kid is making a lot of good plays for Robert E. Lee right now. They have a very talented running back, and their defense is steady. Their defense is steady. They don't give up a whole bunch of big plays, but at the same time, you know, they kind of help control the format of the game a little bit with their style of play. But the main thing that sticks out overall team has to be the quarterback.
And you played in this game at John Tyler. So what's the rivalry like?
Well, you know, it's a little different now than it was when I was playing, you know, because we was in the same district. So it had a little bit more weight to it because it had determined who was going to make it to the playoff, who wasn't going to make it to the playoff. Right now, it's more of a, you know, big brother, little brother deal right now. You know, who's going to get ready to walk in the house and say, hey, Mama, I won. You know, it's kind of like that deal right now. It's good for the city of Tyler. You bring both sides together in a competitive atmosphere, friendly competition, and at the end of the day, somebody's going to have bragging rights for the rest of the year.
You know, the funny thing about it, and I know coaches Owens and Wilson, before you guys felt this way, you work so closely with Coach Piskey on a day-to-day basis. I mean, this is 1 week you want to beat him real badly. But on the other hand, you guys work together every day on stuff too, don't you?
That's it. You know, by us both being the athletic coordinators on campus, at his campus and my campus, we both work together to coincide and make sure everything runs the way that they're supposed to run on both campuses, along with our athletic director, Rodney Casper. So, out of the 10 weeks that we do play, there is 1 week where, you know, hey, I look at him and he look at me. You know, at the end of the day, somebody's going to have to win and somebody's going to have to lose.
What do you remember about the game last year? That was a pretty competitive ball game. Lee didn't have a very good year last year, but they competed in that game. They came to play the night they played you, didn't they?
Well, anytime Lee and John Tyler face off, I don't care how bad John Tyler is, I don't care how bad Lee is. On that given day, both teams are going to be good. And
whatever they got, they're going to get.
Whatever they got, they're going to give it to you. And last year, you know, they competed with us. You know, they came out there. They let us know that, you know, they had a real strong defense, just like I thought they was going to have last year. And their offense was able to move the ball in some certain situations, but they just wasn't able to make enough plays. Just like I said about plays, you got to make – whoever makes the most plays wins the game.
I remember in the early part of the last decade, John Tyler went through a really, really tough stretch. You weren't here at the time. Went through a bad stretch. And then there was a night in, I think, 05, when the JT finally broke through again and beat Robert E. Lee, and how excited the John Tyler fans were. You knew, I mean, sometimes you forget, but in a situation like that, you really realize what it meant to the community.
Yeah, and I think right now in the series, I think John Tyler's still up on the series right now.
So, a little, by a couple, 2 or 3.
By a couple, 2 or 3. So, and you know, that got closer during that period that you was talking about. You know, that time that John Tyler was down and Lee was up. They started winning more in that series and getting it back pretty much even. So now you just go back to like right now. You know, hey, it's very important. You know, a win is a win, a loss is a loss. And at the end of the day, I don't want to have a loss, and neither does Coach Piskey.
All right, we'll talk more about that in a moment. But let's look back at what turned out to be a thrilling game that included a lot of ups and downs, 4 field goals by the JT kicker, Jose Perez, who deserves a pat on the back for the job he did on Saturday night. The special teams, a lot of good plays. Let's take a look. Here you are at home. You got the white helmets and the blue jerseys on. And a little defense to start it off here.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Coming off the edge is our big defensive end, Xavier Reese, making his reads, going through his keys, and understanding what he needs to do, and just using the athletic ability to get there to make the play.
Now, Jalen is his...
That's just Xavier. Now, Jalen is a linebacker, number 33.
A brother, right?
That's his brother.
And he played a great game last week, didn't he?
It's his 2nd week in a row playing a good game.
All right, okay. So the Reese brothers are a big part of what's going on down here. Here's a wide angle of a
And this is Braylon Jones making his tackle. He's a sophomore. Expect a lot of big things out of him for the rest of this year and years to come.
This was after one of the bad punch snaps too, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Back against the wall, put into a bad situation. They just had to make something happen. Just right here, we got a little break. You know, they had an episode like we had last week against Lufkin, snapping the ball over the head of the quarterback.
I'll tell you
we was
another
able
kid.
to come up with the football right here.
Number 9, Darius Amy. I thought he had a heck of a game for you.
He's getting better. You know, he's a transformed linebacker to defensive end right now. And he's starting to adjust well to that new position.
And we'll see him a bit later on. But another senior linebacker, Malik Hubbard, his first year as a starter.
Yeah, he had a pretty good game too. The deal about Malik is he just has to be more consistent in what he does. I think he gets so excited at times that you know he puts himself out of making plays.
All right, here's a nice run. This Jeremy or Reggie?
This is Reggie.
Reggie.
Anytime you're able to line the ball up and hand it off in the backfield and get some positive yards, that's going to always be a plus for a football team.
You ran the ball better this week too, didn't you?
Yeah. You know, we shuffled the line around a little bit, put some guys back into some familiar places like Attaway. You know, he played guard last year, but the first game we had him at center. So we moved him back to his original spot and put Ken Holmes at center.
You shuffled the whole right side of your offensive line,
Yes.
including the center too, didn't you?
Including the center. Tavares Wilson that played guard last week, now he's the right tackle. So
All right, again, who's running the ball here?
this is Reggie
There's
again.
Reggie again. Reggie went up with, didn't quite get to 100 yards, but had a pretty nice night.
Had a good
running the
night
ball.
though. A defensive front with Braylon Jones making a play in the backfield, chasing the guy down.
Who was your defensive player of the game? Did you name one in this game?
I think it was Terry.
Terry
I
Osborne.
think he was because of his high tackle total. But Braylon Jones was coming to a close second, him and Jalen Reese.
Here's Gio.
Yeah, you know, he's a big kid. He covers a lot of ground. He knows how to run. He has a long stride. And he's not going to fall down easy at all. You know, he's one of those guys where you're going to have to wrap up and drive your feet and shoot your hips to tackle him.
Interviewed him last week. Impressive young man.
Yeah, and he's growing up and he's maturing more and more each day. Another run with Reggie.
Touchdown.
Tough run right there, you know, hitting it up inside them tackles. And that's something that we've been focusing on ever since the spring, you know, and being able to run the ball, being able to control the clock. And I think, you know, the second week we got better at it.
By the way, the Lancaster took the lead in the ballgame. They scored first, so
Yeah, they did.
Come right back and counterpunch, got a field goal and that touchdown. I think now the big kid Trey Moore batted this one down. I think.
No, actually it was Braylon Jones.
Braylon Jones.
Braylon
okay.
Jones once again. You know, I said he had a real good game. You know, you always tell him on the pass rush, and get those hands up. Well, he got them big paws up and knocked the ball down.
Yeah, good job. We'll get another look at it here, I think, won't we? No, this is a different play.
This is a fumble. You know, like I tell them all the time, you know, good teams are able to capitalize on turnovers. And these 2 turnovers that we did get, we was able to capitalize on them and put some points on the board, whether it was a field goal or a touchdown.
Right, wide angle look at it. Who recovered the fumble? I
think it was Malik Hubbard.
Malik, I believe. I knew he recovered one in the ball game. I knew that. So that was a momentum changer, and I think you're going to wind up maybe getting a field goal out of this, but you got to get into field goal position to get that done. And here's a good run.
That's our little running back / wide receiver, Quaylen Brown. He's another sophomore guy that's very, very talented. And he's going to help us out this year and years to come, too.
Yeah, number 14, Quaylen Brown. So you're banging away here, trying to get inside. There he is.
That's Reggie again. You know, Reggie spent most of his time last year out that slot receiver. You know, now we move him inside and we let him tote the mail. Good job blocking up front by the offensive line. You know, hey, sometimes you don't always have to block people to the ground. You just need to get in the way and give them a crease.
I think you kicked a field goal at the end of that drive, and now you're back on defense. Am I right about that?
Yes,
I believe that's right.
It's a good backside chase by Amy.
Now, this may be the drive just before halftime, perhaps?
Yes. This is another guy that we've been waiting to wake up.
It's Bendy, right?
Rodney Bendy. You know, he's a big target, great hands, nice speed. It's one of the bad snaps that Holmes had Saturday night. Low to the ground, you know, at least it's not high.
And back inside. Is this Quaylen or Reggie?
Back with Reggie again. Reggie had the bulk of the carries that Saturday night.
Yeah, he went up with 15, I think, for 88, I believe, unofficially. And he didn't mind running inside either. He's pretty tough.
He's a pretty tough kid. You know, he put a little weight on this summer and this spring to be able to do what he's doing right now. And there's Reggie once again.
What will Reggie play? There's a touchdown run. Now, this must be third quarter action here. That's a 32-yard early third quarter. That was the first drive of the third quarter.
Yes. Yeah, and he's able to hit it up in there. I see Reggie at the next level, you know, playing running back or a corner. I think he could play. I think he could be a real great defensive back if they don't give him the opportunity to play running back. But I think with his speed and his agility and his vision to find creases, I think he'll make a great back at the college level. Another big play by Jasavier Reese right there, coming off the edge.
Let's be a wide angle look at it here, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because the quarterback was a good fake to the running back. In fact, I think I calling the game. I think I was following the back, not the quarterback.
Backside chase by Darius Amy. You know, it just shows the hustle. It just shows the effort. I tell the guys all the time, you know, anytime you give 100% effort, good things are going to come from it. It may not come exactly when you're doing it, but I promise you, if you continue to do it, it will happen.
Yeah, good chasing on the play. Got 6 guys around the ball there, too. There you go. Not sure who got that sack. Who got
Darius
that?
Amy.
Is that Darius again? Okay.
I think it's going to be a little touchdown pass to Reggie. A nice ball fade right there.
Which, by the way, you're down at this point. That's a great, great pass, wasn't it?
Yeah. You know, put it right over his shoulder.
You were down 28-22, right?
Yes, sir.
And then you throw this ties the ball game with 4 minutes to go. You missed the extra point. Game's tied at 28, and here we go.
Get the ball in the hands of Nick Kane right here for a big game, huge game.
Drive, by the way, started at the 20-yard line. This is a game-winning drive, I believe.
I believe so, too, yeah. Great points that we did need, especially that big 41-yarder was great confidence booster for him, letting them know that he's going to be able to do what he needs to do to kick field goals and put points on the boards for us.
And a long one, over 40 yards right at the end of the first half. It barely cleared, but it cleared.
It cleared, though. And that just let them know, you know, hey, this is why you're in the position that you're in right now. He has a guy that he needed to replace, which was Benitez, great kicker for us last year. But I think Perez is legs just as strong as Benitez. He just has to get that confidence in himself to know that he can do what he need to do. And he has a line that's blocking up front for him that's going to give him some time.
And your 2 kickers both off the soccer team, right?
Both off the soccer team. Both off the soccer team. And they made a pretty deep run last year in the soccer playoffs. So.
And then Duran, the punter, Louis Duran, he had a rough. It was not all his fault, but he had.
But as you know, if he ever get the ball to him,
he
can boot it.
He can hammer a couple of those.
Most definitely he can. And Sambo knows. We call him Sambo. Sambo know he can kick. Like I said, we just got to find us another snapper, somebody who's going to get it back there consistently and be able to do what we need them to do.
And how do you go about doing that? Hold auditions?
We got some guys that we're going to look at this week to see if they're going to be able to get the job done. A couple of guys in mind I know probably can get the job done. It's just that they're so important on offense and defense. I don't really know if I want them snapping the ball yet. But, hey, it is what it is. You got to win a football game.
You know, the amazing thing about it, little things like that often go overlooked. People talk about the offense and the defense. But special teams are so often overlooked, yet so important.
You can't look over them. And I tell the kids all the time, special teams has to be special. You know, it's the third part of the game. You can't start a game without special teams. And 9 times out of 10, you can't end a game without special teams. But all games are going to start with special teams. Either you're receiving it or you're kicking it. And it's the third part of the game. You got the offense, you got the defense, and you got the special team.
And I guess that was your first opportunity even at John Tyler, playing special teams.
It was. Right? It was. My first opportunity to ever be a varsity player was on kickoff. And I remember how excited I was.
Did you cover it and run it back? What was your job on kickoff?
I was the guy, I think I was either number 4 or number 5 guy on the right side. And I went straight to the ball carrier.
Okay.
On the kickoff.
On the coverage.
On the kickoff.
Okay.
Kickoff coverage. And I was the guy that went straight to the ball carrier. And, you know, Coach Wilson tell me all the time, you know, hey, you got all that speed. You ought to get down there before he catch the ball. So, but you know, like I said, I was excited about that. Yeah. Even in college, you know. My first time before I became a starter my sophomore year was on kickoff.
Right.
Was on punt. Was being a punt returner. Same thing in the pros. You know, I didn't get my first start in the pros at corner or nickelback. It was at punt return. It was at the gunner on punt.
Yeah.
You know, you got to understand the importance of special teams. Like I said, you can't start a game without it.
And
but you can lose a whole bunch of games with it.
You played how many years in the NFL?
3.
3. Okay, so you got. I know you made some starts, but a lot of it also was covering kicks too, right? And guys make a living in the NFL.
The guys make a lot of good money playing special teams. Believe me, Bill Bates is the most known guy for special teams. You know, that's really how he made his living. That's how he got his fame. That's how he got, you know, all his accomplishment came off of special teams. And that's because he understood how important it was. He knew that nothing can go right, but everything can go wrong because of special teams.
How mad do coaches get when a kick gets run back on them?
Woo, it's pretty rough on special teams coordinator, believe it or not. Because, you know, you put a lot of pressure on your coordinators. You know, your offense coordinator, your defense coordinator, your special teams coordinator. Yeah. All 3 of those guys' jobs is to line things out, put them in order, make sure that the guys are in place where they need to be, and the plan and schemes fit what we have out there. You know, it's just like, you know, with the snapper we have now. The reason we put him there because he was good at snapping and he was fast. So that helps us out on the punt by putting somebody down there that's able to run and, you know, make a tackle real fast. But if you put a bigger guy there, you know, now you have to adjust what you do with your front line now to compensate for the speed that he don't bring to the table. So, you know, when you make adjustments like that, whether it's offense, whether it's defense, whether it's special team, you got to understand the outcome of that adjustment.
You healthy going into this game?
We are still healthy. Nobody's injured. Everybody's 100% right now. I still make them go to the train and get ice put on their bodies because, you know, hey, you got to try to do that preventative measure to make sure that you take care of yourself for that latter part of the year.
Rick, what was your favorite memories of player playing against Robert E. Lee? Have anyone in particular?
Probably I think it was my senior year. We played, I think we was a home team that year, and I remember talking to Joffrey Reynolds the night before the game.
Robert E. Lee running back.
Yeah.
Played in Canada, too.
Yeah, played in Canada. Me and him were real close friends. I remember telling him on the phone, I said, I tell you what, man, the first play that we run, I want to run the ball and I'm going to go score. And he's like, oh, man, you ain't going to do that. Well, it was the second play of the game. We ran scat left. I went around the right side for the left side, 55-yard touchdown. And I remember running back down the sideline, and I just pointed at Joffrey. And he kind of laughed, and we laughed at it after the game and all that stuff. But that was probably the most memorable moment, that 55-yard touchdown.
What makes this game special? What makes it fun?
It's Tyler. You know, it's the Rose City. It's the best of 5A and the best of 4A in our eyes. You know, that's what it is. And we get to get it on for 1 week out of the year. And
then you root for Lee the rest of the time,
yeah,
right?
We root for each other. That's just like the first 2 games. You know, I posted on Twitter the night that Lee was playing Lufkin. I said, come on, Lee, pull it out because Lufkin can't own Tyler. You know, they beat us, they can't beat Lee. So, you know, as long as they're not playing me, I'm going for them all the way. You know, I'm happy that they're having success. I'm happy that they started out 2-0.
Just you don't want to be 3-0. Right?
I don't want to be 3-0. I don't want to be 3-0. But, you know, after that, hey, it's smooth sailing for them.
Friday night special halftime deal, the 12 members of the first TISD Athletic Hall of Fame class to be announced. And one of those guys, Alan Wilson, played a big role in your life.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited to see him along with the other 11 nominees that were going to be inducted into the first annual TISD Hall of Fame. And I think it just shows that we have had some people here that have accomplished some great things, not just in Tyler, but outside of Tyler. You know,
Right.
there's a guy on there, Robert Taylor.
Right.
You know, he's an Olympic gold medalist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now you talk about Aaron Ross,
Mm-hmm.
Super Bowl champion ×2, national champion, Jim Thorpe Award. You talk about Christy Porter, you know, volleyball great at UCLA. You know, at John Tyler, she was a 3-sport All-American in every aspect. You know,
What about that 73? Of course, Earl's in.
Yeah.
But that 73 state championship team, how good? I mean, you know, they didn't throw the ball much.
they didn't throw the ball much.
But I still think they'd be pretty good in any era. What
They'd
do
be
you think?
good right now because I don't know too many people that's going to try to tackle Earl right now. When he ran downhill with force. And anybody that was in his way, he made sure they knew they was in his way. I think that type of running style is a lost art right now. I don't think you really see a lot of downhill runners like you did with
Right.
him.
Adrian
You know,
Peterson's kind of
Adrian
that way.
Peters, he's the closest one.
Yeah.
But as far as size-wise, you can't compare him to Earl.
No, I guess not. But anyway, that should be fun. By the way, you're going to let your kids, will you have a chance to let them watch any of that stuff at all, or are you going to be in the locker room?
Well, we'll be in the locker room and we'll talk to them briefly as you know, as we always do after halftime. And if it's some time in between, I would let them peek out the door and look at the festivities.
Do you tell them also before a game like this, hey, just kind of enjoy this. This is kind of why you put in all this work to play high school football and sweat it and, you know, get up early and do all that stuff
Well, I
to
tell
get
them
a
that-
chance to play in a game like
Yes,
this,
most
right?
definitely. I tell them that every week. I say, hey, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, that's when I'm going to yell at you. That's when I'm going to get in your face. That's when I'm going to make sure you're doing everything you're supposed to do because I want you to be ready for Friday. Because when Friday comes, I want to just sit on the sideline, worry about the referees and the clock and the clock. That's all I want to worry about. I don't want to have to worry about you not knowing what you're supposed to do. I don't have to worry about if you're going to do what you're supposed to do because we took care of that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
What kind of game you expect Friday night?
I expect a good game. You know, I think it's going to come down to their offense against our defense. We have to contain that quarterback, and then their defense against our offense. How their athletes going to match up with my athletes? That's going to be a big test for both teams.
And again, 7:30 Friday night, Trinity Mother Frances Rose Stadium. For you JT fans, you're the home team this week, so you'll be sitting on the press box side, Lee on the visiting side, and at halftime. Again, the festivities to honor the first class of the first ever Tyler Independent School District Athletic Hall of Fame class, including Earl Campbell and the 73 John Tyler team, and a whole bunch of JT Lions, as a matter of fact, to be honored in that first class coming up on Friday night, dating all the way back to Tyler High School. Should be a lot of fun. 7:30 kick, Friday night, Trinity Mother Frances Rose Stadium. For Coach Holmes and the Lions, I'm Bill Coates. Thanks for joining us.